Hi y'all, this is Larry from Deep South Texas. It's January 16th and we're going to review how my peppers and tomatoes are doing in the seed starting systems. So I planted them a while back, but let's talk about them and see how they're doing. But before we get started looking at the plants themselves, I get a lot of questions about what I use to start my seeds. And what I'm using are Arrow Gardens. So this is the bigger one is the Arrow Garden Bounty, and the smaller one is the Arrow Garden Basic. No, Arrow Garden Harvest. And what's happened is I've had these for I don't know, 8 or 9 years now, quite a while. But about 2 years ago, it looked like Arrow Garden went out of business. Anyway, they stopped selling these, and I think what happened, there were a bunch of competitors came in at a lower price from from China, and they sort of took them off the market for a while. But when looking at it today, it looks like they're back on the market, although they have something called an Arrow Garden Bounty. I don't think it's quite the same as this one, and the Arrow Garden Harvest also is probably a little bit different, but you can find something real similar. The problem with the cheaper models coming from China, they didn't have this seed starting tray. For instance, the Harvest model came with just 6 pods. They're originally designed, you put them in your kitchen and you grow herbs and things on them and just use them in the kitchen. But then they came out with seed starting trays, tops for them, and that looked real interesting to me, and I've got those, and that's currently all I use. So between these three, these start all the seeds that I need in, a fairly extensive garden. Now, I don't plant them all at the same time. There's about three different periods when I start my seeds. But right now we're on the pepper and tomatoes, the next things to go out. And like I say, the Arrow Garden seems to be back for sale again. They're owned by Scott's or Miracle Grow, something like that. I really enjoy them, but I need them for the seed starting top, and I'm not sure that those seed starting tops are available. So anyway, just thought I'd get you up to date on that. Last year I was telling everybody you can't get them anymore, but now it seems like you might be able to get them. But you need to look into it and be careful what you purchase. So anyway, we have our peppers, which I started on the 15th of December. That's about 2 weeks before I start my tomatoes, because they take longer to germinate and grow than the tomatoes do. And the tomatoes I started on January 1st, and they come up right away. And so they'll certainly catch up and overtake the peppers before too long. So I think at this point we need to take a closer look at those peppers and tomatoes. So I started peppers in 2 of my Arrow Gardens on December 15th. And for the most part, they've done okay. I have one pepper here. This is a Sugar Rush peach pepper that just took off. It germinated right away and outgrew everything else in the Arrow Garden. So today I'm going to repot this one anyway. And I guess I did have a little problem early on with the peppers not germinating very well, and I think it was because I didn't have I couldn't keep the humidity in. I didn't have a humidity top for them. So I made a humidity top, and that seemed to help quite a bit with germination. But Here, this arrow garden has my jalapenos in it, and one variety, almost all germinated, and another variety, very few germinated until I put the humidity top on, and then a few came up. But peppers, I don't know, California wonder peppers didn't come up at all. Anaheim peppers, I think I had only one come up. And for a long time, it looked like I was only going to have one Sugar Rush peach pepper, but now all four came up that I planted. And yellow bells, again, once upon a time, it looked like only one was going to come up, but now 3 out of the 4 I planted came up. So I had some extra space in my arrow garden here, and I realized I hadn't planted any cucumbers. So the same day I planted the tomatoes, I put 8 cucumber plants in here, and 8 cucumber seeds, and 7 of those have germinated and come up. But the cucumbers are a little bit too big to stay in the arrow pot very long, so I'm going to repot up this one Sugar Rush peach and the 7 cucumber plants and get them out of the way so the other peppers in that pot can get some sunlight. Like I said, the peppers were planted on December 15th. And January 1st, we planted the tomatoes. And because by then I'd realized that there wasn't getting enough humidity, and I put a humidity cover on, which is nothing more than a plastic lid from something we bought at the grocery store. And then almost all of the tomatoes germinated. I think I have only one pod that didn't germinate any tomatoes. And I have since gone through and cut off all the extra tomatoes, so I plant more than one seed in each pod, and then prune that down to just one at some point. So these tomatoes now are really only about 2 weeks old, and they look great. And the peppers, they are a month old, and the ones that came up, they look terrific as well. Anyway, this is how I start most of the plants for my garden, and I keep these guys pretty busy throughout the gardening season. And of course, I think, you know, later in the summer, I might plant some stuff directly into the ground. But this is how I like to start my seeds. And they're in my laundry room, which is kind of small, and a washer and dryer in here, and a couple freezers, so it keeps it pretty warm. I think the peppers kind of like that. Anyway, let me show you now how I repot these up. So I have a 16-ounce paper cup. I buy these by the case from Amazon. They're pretty cheap. And I have it filled with potting soil. And then I take that cup and I stick a pencil and make a couple holes in the bottom, just to let any excess water drain out that might come in there. Then I have a little piece of bamboo. I run it down the center and make a hole. And then I go to my arrow garden and try to pull out of there the plant that I want to plant. And today it's this Sugar Rush peach pepper. Again, this has grown a month and it's got one heck of a root system. That's what I like about these arrow gardens. They grow huge amounts of roots, more than I need. So I'm going to take and break off some of those. And I'm going to take off the seed leaves and see if I can get this down in my cup. And there we have it. Pretty simple. Pretty simple. Now, like I said, this was seeds were started on December 15th. We're up potting it now a month later, and so in another month it'll be the middle of February, and I hope to be able to plant them outside in the middle of February. Now we'll watch the weather closely and see if we're going to have any cold weather after the middle of February, because sometimes we do, and I have to make a decision then whether to plant or wait. I can plant them, and then if I get some bad weather, I can cover them if it's not going to be too bad, which it won't be that time of year. But this one hopefully is in the garden sometime in February. Now that's the only pepper I have to replant today, but I have some cucumbers that I planted the same time I planted the tomatoes. So these are 2 weeks old, and they're in pretty good shape as well. So I'm going to replant those. Same process. Dig a hole with the bamboo. Stick that plug down in there. Cover it up. And there is the cucumber. Well, I've got 6 more cucumbers to do. 3 of them are straight 8s, and 4 of them are cucumber seeds that I saved. They could be almost anything, but they'll produce cucumbers, and that's all I need. So basically that's how I do it. So you've seen the peppers and the cucumbers, the tomatoes. I do the same thing probably in another 2 weeks. And from now on, I have to set them outside in the sun during the day, and then I probably will have to bring them in the house at night, because the nights have been kind of cool. It's kind of variable, but we're not we're in the 40s at night, so a little bit on the cool side for peppers and tomatoes, but and cucumbers. So I'll set them out during the day, bring them in at night, and so it's a lot more work than just leaving them in these arrow gardens, but they've sort of overgrown their stay there, and some of the other plants in there I want to get a little bit more light. So that's what we're doing. Oh, and one last thing. I need to mark these so I know what they are when I planted. So this is a cucumber from seed. Seed that I saved. And this one was a straight 8. Anyway, a lot of times I get them mixed up when I go to plant them, because they'll be outside, the wind will come up and blow them over or whatever. But since I can mark each cup now, I like the way this works, and it helps me identify them when I go to plant them. Oh, and one more thing. Once the plants start growing, they take a lot of water. So you got to watch the water level. And it's got a little indicator here saying that the water is low. And at the same time they need water, I usually give them some fertilizer. So just a cap full of this fertilizer. Put that in there. And then take this lid off. And fill it back up. There, that'll do it. Put that lid back on. And now we can move the light back down a little bit closer to the plants. And I got the same here. This one says it wants water and plant food, so I'm going to fill that one up as well. And they're all set again for a couple more days. Move the lights back down, get them closer to the plants. They'll continue to grow. Like I say, I'm hoping to be able to plant these on February 15th. And here are the plants seeing full sun for the first time. And it's also a little bit windy today. They're not going to stay out here in the sun very long. You got to work them into full-time sun, and it takes a week at least. The garden is much the same as last week, just continues to grow. We did harvest one cabbage of the early Jersey Wakefield, and it was about 3 pounds, which is a pretty nice size for those. And I don't know, I think we got maybe 5 more to harvest. I think I need to make some sauerkraut. Every day I come out and pick a little bit more broccoli. I haven't got any out today, but I could come out and get some. It's looking good. Bananas are looking good. Getting bigger every day. I try to keep a lot of water on these. Some more cabbage over here. And a couple cauliflower plants on the end. Everything is looking good. The oranges are thinning out a little bit. Continue harvesting them as long as I can. This tree still has lots of oranges on it to harvest. I'm sure that I'll have orange juice more than through the end of February. We're harvesting eggs every day. And at the moment, the 4 nest boxes, each box has got a chicken in it. Oh, scared that one out. Well, that's how I start and take care of my seedlings here at Deep South Texas. Do that 2 or 3 times each season, depending on the plants and the time of year. The peppers and tomatoes, which you saw today, those are the last ones I think for the year that we'll use in those seed starting kits. And I hope you enjoyed it. Quick tour of the garden. Not a lot of change since last week, but things are still growing. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it that thumbs up. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next time.